Hello, everybody, and very happy new year to all our listeners of the Virtual Planetarium. This is the Virtual Planetarium for January 2026 with Pete Lawrence and myself, Paul Abel. And as ever, we will start our way with the inner solar system and make our way outwards into the stars. So Mercury...
This shouldn't take very long.
So the inner solar system, it'll be a very, very brief affair, I fear. Mercury reaches superior conjunction on the 21st of January, so effectively it's behind the sun. If you imagine the Earth, the sun and Mercury at a straight line, Mercury is behind it. It stops being a morning object and moves into the evening, but it's very, very close to the sun, so not really observable. Venus doing the same sort of trick.
Yes, it is.
It's at superior conjunction on the 6th of January. But the next elongation of Venus isn't going to be a great one, really, is it? It's going to take a while for it to get around the sun and then, low down.
Yeah, they sort of go good and then bad, then good, then bad, don't they, with Venus? So
they do.
Yeah, so we just have to be patient. Well, let's go to another planet then, which can't be seen this month, which is Mars, which is also at solar conjunction on the 9th of January.
Can I just say, finally, Mars has reached solar conjunction. It has been edging slowly to the sun, and it's now finally in conjunction, and we have the start of the new apparition. And about, 7-8 months, it'll start to be a good target in the morning sky and then move into the evening sky. But it has taken Mars an awfully long time to get started.
It seems to take forever, doesn't it? Absolutely forever. It's quite a testing planet.
You always have trouble with it, don't you? Whatever happens, it's the bringer of bad luck for you because equipment doesn't work, or you plan to observe it and it goes cloudy, and Mars is not a great one for you, I think.
My favourite was at a favourable opposition when I can remember I was observing it every night, and there was a little creature on the chip of my camera. It was a tiny little mite thing, and it used to scamper along and sit in the light of Mars. So if you're imaging, you sort of move Mars to a clear bit of the chip, and this little creature would wander across and sit in the light of Mars. It was quite irritating, actually.
No, but it is also a tiny bit funny. It's a kind of very much a third world Pete Lawrence problem. And if you used eyepieces like sensible people rather than all this technology and nonsense, then it wouldn't be an issue, would it? But
what's an eyepiece?
There we go. So the next Mars apparition is going to be quite good, but it's going to be gone for a little while longer. But the planet that is dominating our night skies at the moment, of course, is the planet Jupiter.
Yay!
Yay for Jupiter.
Yes.
High up in the south. It actually comes to opposition on the 10th of January, and so fundamentally is opposite the sun in the sky. That's what opposition means. It's 180 degrees opposite direction from the sun. It's in the constellation of Gemini, so when I say it gets practically overhead, it really does get practically overhead.
Yes, it does.
We'll have it for hours, all night. It's good stuff.
It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this. We've had Saturn, and Saturn hasn't looked like Saturn, has it? Because we'll come on to that in a bit, been fairly edge on to us recently. But Jupiter reaching opposition so high in the sky is really something to celebrate. But we should point out that opposition isn't just one date. You don't just wait for opposition and hope it's clear.
No.
You can observe Jupiter weeks before opposition and weeks after opposition.
Months. Well, where's your ability? Come on, show some enthusiasm. It's months. If you got out the pub more, you'd do a bit more observing.
If it was ever clear. Basically... Yes, Paul's right. Months either side of opposition, you can observe Jupiter. So opposition just represents the time when we are lined up. So the planet will be slightly brighter then, and it will appear slightly larger when you view it through the eyepiece. But it should be fantastic because of its height above the horizon. It means that it's getting above all that turbulent atmosphere, which is low down, and just giving us a really stable view. In theory.
Yeah, I mean, there's caveats to that, of course. If the jet stream is slap bang over the top of you, then it will be like looking through a murky pond. But because one of the great things about January is often you get misty nights, foggy nights, and although Jupiter might not appear quite as bright, that means the atmosphere is actually very, very steady, and that's a really good time to start observing. So the planets in particular.
It's really troublesome, that, isn't it? Because it's the transparency goes down, so the planet isn't as bright. So if you're an imager, you haven't got such a bright signal. But you do. What do you mean?
Not a problem for me. I got an eyepiece, so yeah. But it is. There is a payoff. But of course, the stability of the air when it's particularly thick fog. Makes it. I've seen some exquisite detail in the atmosphere of Jupiter during those evenings, and in particular, of course, at the moment we have a number of things happening on Jupiter. There's been outbreaks in various belts, the southern temperate belt. The red spot last year was shrinking a bit, not as accelerating it was before. We still don't know what's going to happen to it, and the equatorial zone has been showing some interesting changes and turbulence. So there's a lot going on Jupiter, and of course the Galilean satellites, Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto.
Yes.
They're good fun to watch at the moment.
There are some very interesting special events coming up with those because we're getting close to opposition. So we'll come on to those in a bit. Let's just have a quick look at Saturn, which is it's actually in Aquarius at the moment. And it's shining at magnitude plus 0.7 on the 1st of January when it's able to reach a peak altitude of 33 degrees when due south at about 5:15 in the afternoon, and that's in darkening twilight, which indicates that the planet is now getting to the point where it's past its best. It will start to be more affected by the twilight as we go through the month.
Yeah. Uranus, though, currently in Taurus, it's actually not far from the Pleiades open cluster. It's shining at magnitude 5.7, so technically a naked eye object, but I think most people find that very, very difficult. Binoculars, it's an easy target. And of course, telescopes, even a small telescope, will show the small greenish disk. It's a funny one, Uranus, because technically its pole is on show to us.
Yes.
And yet north on Uranus isn't at the poles because the magnetic field of Uranus doesn't pass through the centre of the planet. It sort of pops out one side and emerges at the other side, but only goes through, I think, about a third of the centre of the planet. So north and south on Uranus are a little bit strange.
It's an odd world, really.
It is an odd world.
Yes.
It is an odd world.
Well, Neptune is there as well, but Neptune is really close to Saturn at the moment, so it will suffer the same fate as Saturn. So at the beginning of the month, you will get a reasonable view of it, say about 6:10 from about 6:10 when it's about 35 degrees up just next door. It's just over the border in Pisces, Neptune. But as the month goes on, it will become harder to see that planet.
Yeah.
So this is the time, right at the very beginning of the year, to get out and have a look at them.
I feel a bit, I'm just going to confess, although Neptune is probably the easiest point in my observing career to find now, it's literally just to the left of Saturn. I've only looked at it once, so...
Lightweight.
I know. Anyway, we have some specials, as Pete was about to say before we started giving me grief. And we have a special on New Year's Day, actually. Callisto is eclipsed by Jupiter's shadow from 8 o'clock in the evening, and at 21:06 UT, Saturn's largest moon, Titan, can be seen emerging from behind Saturn's disk. So those are two interesting ones to look out for.
And on the 2nd, that event which you mentioned about Callisto being eclipsed by Jupiter's shadow actually culminates, if you like, with Callisto reappearing from behind Jupiter's disk at 0200 in the morning. So it's the same set of events there, going into the shadow and then going behind Jupiter and then reappearing from the other side.
Just goes to show how far away Callisto is from Jupiter, and it takes around 6 hours to complete one of these events. Most of them are much more swift.
Yes.
On the 3rd, Earth reaches perihelion, so this is a point in its orbit where it's closest to the Sun. It's early January, so it probably won't feel like it. We also have the Quadrantid meteor shower peaking that evening, but I'm afraid it will be entirely spoilt, either by clouds but certainly by the full moon.
Yes, it will. On the 6th, we've got some interesting events happening on or around Jupiter as well. So at 0156 UT, you can see Io start to transit Jupiter's disk. But because we're really close to opposition, which is on the 10th, then Io will be very close to its shadow.
I have seen that. visually. The last time Jupiter was well placed, and it is a very odd sight because it looks like a tiny crescent shadow with a little bit of light blob going through, depending on whether it's passing over the zones or the darker belts.
Yes,
but it is an odd sight to see.
And there will be a better one actually coming up, I believe. But also that afternoon, about 5:30 UT, you can see two stars sitting just 1.3 arc minutes south of Jupiter. That's mag plus 6.8 HIP 36232 and mag plus 8.9 TYC 1359 2674-1. But it's quite odd to see Jupiter so close to a pair of stars like that.
Yes, it is. And on the 7th, Ganymede and its shadow can be seen transiting Jupiter, both of them together, from 0206 UT to 0536 UT. That's actually an interesting one to watch because Ganymede is quite large.
Yes.
And its shadow on Jupiter is really huge.
Yeah.
It is quite striking, and it's very unusual to get them both at the same time.
And then at 2020 UT, it's Io and its shadow again, but this is the one where they will appear to touch as they transit Jupiter. So that's the one that we've really got to hope for clear skies for.
Yes. On the 9th, Titan transits Saturn's disk between 1652 and 2222 UT. The event does start in daylight and ends as Saturn sets, so it's not a trivial observation to make, but the period between these two extremes offer one last chance to see these transits of Titan in the current period. After that, it's when Saturn's next edge on again.
I think it's a backup, this one, because I think there is one more that you can have a go at, but if you know what the weather's like. I mean, did you actually get to see Titan's shadow?
No, of course
transit?
I didn't. No.
The weather's been awful.
I rubbed salt in the wound. It was clear the night before, and it was clear the night after. But on the day, I wouldn't mind if it rained, if it did something useful. But it was just pointless low clouds. So
yes,
still bitter about that.
Yes. Okay. Well, on the day of the Jupiter opposition, Callisto can be seen transiting in front of its shadow. Now, that is extremely rare.
It is extremely rare. And that's definitely what I have never seen that. I don't know whether you've ever imaged that, Pete, but that is certainly something I will be looking out for.
It's a morning event. It will start from about 0711 and it occurs as the dawn twilight is getting brighter, but it should be very easy to see if it's clear.
Yeah. On the 11th, from around 1750 UT, Europa and its shadow can be seen touching as they transit Jupiter. The event finishes at around about 2045.
And then again on the 13th, we've got Io and its shadow appearing to touch as they transit Jupiter between 0341 and 0600. So we've got some good shadow and moon contact events to look forward to there, haven't we?
We have indeed. We must be able to get one of them. On the 14th, Ganymede and its shadow transit Jupiter, so if you didn't get it earlier in the month, there's another good chance. The moon begins at 0530 UT, followed by the shadow at 0556 UT. Jupiter will be lower in the sky by then, but again, worth trying if you haven't seen it.
On the 17th, Titan is emerging from behind Saturn's disk at 2023. And then on the 25th, we've got our own moon doing stuff because we've got the very popular Lunar X and Lunar V clear obscure effects, which can be seen on the moon late afternoon, both nicely visible, hopefully, around 1700 UT.
Yes, so those are always quite striking, actually, the Lunar X in particular. And then, this was the thing you were referring to, Pete, the last transit of Titan for 13 years.
Yes, that's on the 25th between 1735 and 2136 UT. So we won't be talking about those anymore for another 13 years. And everybody's going, hooray!
They are so rare, though. And we're recording this on the 5th of November. There is a transit of Titan tomorrow. I'm going to try for it, and if so, I've been waiting some 30 years to see this. So we'll see what the weather brings.
We'll see what the weather brings. So on the 26th, from 2116 UT until 0106 UT on the 27th of January, Callisto will be transiting Jupiter's disk. Callisto's shadow now follows suit. So it's after the moon starts transiting from 0106 to 0506. And then on the 27th, it's our moon again, which is this time crossing the northern section of the Pleiades open cluster from around 2130 UT. It's a fascinating thing to watch, an occultation of the Pleiades.
It is. I love the way the stars, they actually don't instantly wink out, do they? They do glide down fade down into darkness.
No, I think completely the opposite. I think they go out instantly.
I see. I mean, I guess it depends which ones you look at. I've only ever seen some of the bright ones, and it is, as you say, fascinating because the other fascinating thing about it is you get some notion of lunar motion in the night sky, which you don't normally get. I imagine it's quite a difficult thing to photograph because you've got the moon, which is incredibly bright, and some of the faint stars in the Pleiades. Getting the intensity levels between that must be quite a challenge.
It depends which edge of the moon is doing the occulting. If it's the dark edge of the moon, then it's not too bad. The difficult thing, I mean, you can do a longer exposure and you can pick up the night side of the moon fairly well, and that's quite dramatic with the stars there. But if it's the bright edge, you can still get it, but you've got to be careful of not overexposing the moon's disk to get the best view. But what are you trying to show there? Because the star is either there or it isn't. So it's a tricky thing to know how to present sometimes. I think video works really well with modern cameras.
Yeah. Yes, it does. I've seen some nice videos of these occultations, actually.
And we shouldn't forget that, it used to be, it's not so, I don't think it's as important now, but it used to be very important to do the timings on these occultations for the moon, because that was the way that it was checked whether the moon's actual position was, and also to get a profile of the moon's limb, because the moon rotates on its axis with libration, then the profile that's presented to you is always slightly different. So this was a way of actually measuring, where the features were on the edge of the moon's limb as well.
That's quite. Well, so back in the day, it's been a very, very useful thing to be able to observe. Okay, well, let's move out into the night sky now. And the constellation dominating our evening skies is the constellation of Orion. Really very striking, and you really can't miss it.
And of course, yes, Orion is a great signpost, so it points down and left towards Sirius, the dog star, which remains very prominent in the southern part of the sky. It's a lovely sight with the naked eye, as its light flickers red and blue as it gets refracted, passing through the thick layer of atmospheres, and also affected by atmospheric dispersion. That's why the colours stand out so well. If you see Sirius, don't forget to have a look just below it, 4 degrees below it, which is just under a sort of average binocular field of view. You've got the lovely open cluster Messier 41. It's quite a lovely cluster, that, actually.
It is. It's quite pretty. And to the east of Canis Major, which is the constellation which is home to Sirius, we have a little less well-known constellation, which is Puppis. That's it's not a very striking constellation, but I think it is quite a pretty one when you take the time to look at it.
There's quite a lot there, actually, it used to belong to a much larger conglomeration of constellations which were known as Argo Navis, which represented the ship which was sailed by Jason and the Argonauts in Greek mythology. But it was such a large constellation that it was broken up. And Puppis is just one small part of it. But it's got some great...
Is it the poop deck, Puppis?
It is the poop deck, yes. But it's got some great stuff in it. It's got Messier 46 and Messier 47, which are lovely open clusters. And if you use a telescope on M46, you might get a surprise, because there's another object to be had there, which is NGC 2438, which is a planetary nebula, which appears to be in the outskirts of the cluster. but it isn't actually. It's just a line of sight effect, but it's it is perfectly scaled to look as if it is part of the cluster.
That's I've never seen it, so that is not something to look out for. If we were to move to the north now around midnight in the middle of January, we've kind of got a balancing act between Cassiopeia, the W-shaped constellation, and Ursa Major, better known by its asterism, the Plough. And at this time, a line from Cassiopeia through Polestar, Polaris, and on to the Plough is more or less horizontal.
Yes, it is. Yeah, which doesn't really mean very much.
Just a nice thing to notice.
That Cassiopeia is sinking and the Plough is rising, so it's getting higher in the sky. But the two stars to the right of the pan, if you think of it as a saucepan's easier to describe, aren't they? Yeah. Isn't it? Are Jubei and Merak, and they're known as the pointers because they point to Polaris, which is the North Star, which is very close to the North celestial pole in the sky. The other two stars in the pan are Megrez and Phector, and they also work as reverse pointers. If you draw a line from Megrez through Phector, so that's the one which is joining the handle through the one in the bottom left of the pan, keep that going, and eventually you will arrive at Regulus, which is the brightest star in Leo. And you can always recognise that because it's got that backward question mark above it, which is the sickle, of course.
Yes. And to the northeast of Orion, we find the constellation of Gemini, the twins. At the moment, Jupiter is there, and that's a good way of finding Gemini. Jupiter's a very brilliant object in the evening sky. And the constellation of Gemini itself, I think, is fairly distinctive. It's identified by two of the primary stars, Castor and Pollux. And Castor is actually a fascinating star system in its own. I believe 6 stars, all in orbit around their common centre of gravity. So that's quite a feat of gravitational balancing.
Yes, it certainly is, Paul. And if you look at it through the eyepiece, what you will see will be Castor splits into a pair. There's a brighter component and one which is slightly fainter. And there's a third one which is a little further away. And those are the 3 stars in the Castor system. But each one of those is double again, which gives you the total of 6. Poor old Pollux is on its own.
Pollux is the kind of orange one, isn't it?
It's quite orange.
Yeah, it's noticeably
and slightly
different.
Brighter than Castor.
Yeah. In the western corner of the rectangle of Gemini, we have another nice cluster, open cluster, M35. And this is quite an interest, one of your favourite clusters, isn't it?
I like M35. It's got lots of star strings in it. And somebody pointed out years ago, I can't remember who it was, so I apologise if I've forgotten your name, but they pointed out that some of the strings look like the profile of the space shuttle coming into land. And what's sad about that is that it's been so long since we've had the space shuttle, some people won't actually know what that looks like now.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like. I mean, must be a generation.
You're not that young.
No, I have actually seen.
Nice try.
I know. I have actually seen. One of the shuttles in a museum in America. It's astonishing how large they are. They really are impressive pieces of kit. And as you say, it's a shame that we don't have that anymore. Also close to M35 is the star 1 Geminorum, and it's notable because this star is occulted by the sun. Obviously, this is an event that can't be seen unless, I guess, a total eclipse was to happen in Gemini.
No, you have to be very lucky with that.
And so then it could technically perhaps be seen, but it happens at around the time of the summer solstice. So at the moment
I remember reading about that actually when I was a boy, about the fact that 1 Geminorum was that star which was occulted at the solstice, and it helped me understand how things move around the sky, I guess. So it's just those little snippets of information really sort of help you out, don't they?
They do.
Okay, well, midway between Gemini and Leo, of course, we've got the inverted Y of Cancer the Crab, which is very faint. But at the heart of it, we've got another lovely cluster, which is Praesepe, the beehive cluster, Messier 44, whatever you want to call it. But it is a beauty. It's quite big, probably best seen with binoculars or a low power through a telescope.
Yeah, the last best view I had of it, actually, I've got an 80mm finder on my 12-inch Newtonian. It's really good optics on it, and the view through that, the M44 look actually quite stunning.
Yeah, it is. It's really something which is worth taking some time over and just looking at. We mention it a lot, and people sometimes say, "Oh, yeah, I know that's there," and then wander off onto something else. But of course, as we're looking into Cancer and also into Leo, we're starting to veer off into the spring skies. So I think we'll probably draw a line under it there and just say that we wish you clear skies for getting some of those moon events with Jupiter and Saturn, because they are rather special at the moment.
But they are indeed. Good luck, everyone, and thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Paul.